Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَإِذَا قَرَأْتَ الْقُرْآنَ. Whenever you recite the Quran, فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ. Seek protection, seek refuge with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the accursed shaitan. So when you say أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم, you should remember that you are following the command of Allah. Is that clear? That's number one. Number two, so in obedience to Allah, we follow the ayah. But still, why do we seek protection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from shaitan? Is shaitan our enemy or our enemy?
Our enemy.
He's our enemy. These are your two choices. He's your enemy. Whether you like it or you like it, he's your enemy. Why? Because subhanallah, our father, can we all here in this room claim one father?
Yes.
Yeah, his name is Adam alayhi salam, right? So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created Adam alayhi salam, our father, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded Iblis, okay? He commanded him to make sujood to Adam. And now, the ego came out. And that was, subhanallah, the first sin ever, which is pride. So be careful. Don't think highly of yourself. Stop saying I. Because shaitan was the first one to say I. Ana. And that's ana. Ana means the ego. I am better than him. Why, Mr. Iblis? Did you do something on your own? No, he said, خَلَقْتَنِي. Subhanallah, you're saying you created me. So it's not even something that you accomplished. Allah created you. So it's not something of your own production. It's a gift given to you by Allah. He said, خَلَقْتَنِي مِنْ نَارٍ وَخَلَقْتَهُ مِنْ طِينٍ. You created me out of fire and you created him out of mud. Does this give you the privilege to be better than him? How many of us today walk in the street, we look down upon someone and we say, oh, he's not my social caste. He's not driving the same car I'm driving. Does this happen to you one time? It happens. We're humans, right? You look down upon people. Oh, they're not wearing the same clothes that I'm wearing. They're not living in the same neighborhood. Like, man, like he's living in a slum. I live in my own house by the ocean. Do we have an ocean here?
No.
We'll bring the ocean here, inshallah. Don't worry. Okay? So, Allah is teaching us to learn why is that reason behind the animosity of shaitan against all of us. Because our father was the reason for him to be kicked out of Jannah. Iblis, before he refused one command of Allah, to make sujood to Adam, was one of the closest creation to Allah. If you see in the Quran, and that was the question that I did not complete the answer to, I'm going to start with it today, inshallah. If you read in the Quran, you will notice that Shaitan, Iblis, is always mentioned in the company of angels. This is why some people are confused. And even today in the West here, some professors who have a PhD on Islam, and they might not be Muslims, and even some Muslims are confused about this. I recently was talking to someone who's like, oh, so Shaitan is not an angel? I said, astaghfirullah. Why? Because all the time, let me just give you two examples from the Quran. First time that was mentioned was in Surah Al-Baqarah. When you read in ayah 30 and below, Allah is telling us the story. وَإِذْ قَالَ رَبُّكَ لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً. Allah is telling the angels, I'm going to create someone who's going to be a trustee. That's Adam alayhi salam. Just read 2, 3, 4 ayahs after that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَإِذْ قُلْنَا لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ اسْجُدُوا لِآدَمَ. After Allah created Adam, and He breathed into him out of His Spirit, subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he became a human being. Allah said, make sujood to him. Allah said, وَإِذْ قُلْنَا لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ. Remember when we said to the angels, اسْجُدُوا لِآدَمَ, make sujood to Adam. And somebody, as I said last time, might say, Astaghfirullah, sujood to someone else other than Allah, isn't this shirk? Yes, it is. In our Sharia now, yes. But the question is, who commanded the angels to make sujood to Adam?
Allah.
It's not me. It's not the Prophet ﷺ, it's Allah. Are you going to question Allah?
No.
Allah said in Surah 21, ayah 23, لا يسأل عما يفعل. Allah is not to be questioned. وهم يسألون. But this creation are to be questioned by Allah. It doesn't work the other way around. Allah can question you, but you can't question Allah. Allah has the absolute wisdom. Second answer to this question is, was it sujood of ibadah? Did they make sujood to Adam in the form of worshipping Adam? No. Because back in the days, it was allowed, you can bow to someone out of respect. That's the meaning. Just in honor of Adam, that he was created by the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said, لِمَا لَمْ تَسْجُدْ. Allah told him this. You go in Surah Sad, ayah number 75, Surah number 38, ayah number 75. Allah said, لِمَا لَمْ تَسْجُدْ لِمَا خَلَقْتُ بِيَدَيْ. Why didn't you make sujood to the one that I created in my own hands? What did he say? Again, arrogance, pride. He thought highly of himself, better than him. So that sujood doesn't mean prostration that we make now as some sort of ibadah, obedience, slavery, submission to Allah, but it was sujood takreem, like bowing for him as some sort of honor. You know, now when they play some games, before you start the game, you know, the two people, they bow to each other. But in the Sharia of Yaqub, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in Surah Yusuf, you know, read in Surah Yusuf, Surah number 12, ayah 100. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَرَفَعَ أَبَوَيْهِ عَلَى الْعَرْشِ. Yusuf alayhi salam, when he received his parents in Egypt, he took them up to the throne. وَقَالَ وَخَرُّوا لَهُ سُجَّدًا. Allah said, and they made sujood to him. وقال يا أبت هذا تأويل رؤياي من قبل. He said, my dear dad, isn't this the dream that I saw before, that I shared with you when I was a kid? It was almost 6-7 years when he shared that dream. Now he's 40 something. Imagine after 40 years, the dream is coming true, because a dream by a prophet is something true. It has to happen. He said, قَدْ جَعَلَهَا رَبِّي حَقًّا. Allah made it come true. Right? So Allah said, وَرَفَعَ أَبَوَيْهِ عَلَى الْعَرْشِ وَخَرُّوا لَهُ سُجَّدًا. When he raised his parents on the throne, they made sujood to him. Again, do you think Yaqub, the father who's a prophet, is making sujood to his son, Joseph, Yusuf, a prophet? Is it sujood ibadah? No. Again, it's not prostration as some sort of worshipping his son. No, it's sujood takreem again. Because at that time, Yusuf alayhi salam was someone like the minister of finance or the minister of treasury at that time. So he was in a very high position. Is that clear? So we shouldn't question that. So basically, let's go back to the story of the animosity. Why Saytan, takes us as enemies? Because when Allah commanded him to make sujood to Adam, he refused. Can you imagine because of refusing to make one sajda, Adam stayed in Jannah, but Iblis was kicked out of Jannah? How many of the descendants of Adam now don't make sujood to Allah? Out of 1.8 billion on earth today, how many of them do not make sujood to Allah? It could be my cousin, could be my nephew, could be your cousin, could be your own son, could be your own brother. Did you do something to change that? Did you do da'wah to them? Did you invite him to do this? Did you send him a reminder? Can you share that video with him? Because you're going to be asked, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addressed Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Surah number 21, Surah Al-Anbiya, ayah 107. He said, وَمَا أرسلناك إلا رحمة للعالمين. O Muhammad, we have not sent you, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, except as mercy. For who? Al-Alameen. Al-Alameen is not, as you see it in the lame English translation, worlds, because worlds, alam jam'uha awalim. But Allah didn't say awalim, Allah said al-Alameen. Al-Alameen means all civilizations, all nations, all people, at all times, at all places. But we have a problem. So the father of humanity is Adam alayhi salam. How come the Prophet ﷺ is sent to all nations, all people, at all times, till the day of judgment, when he passed away more than 14 centuries ago? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَإِنَّهُ لَذِكْرٌ لَكَ وَلِقَوْمِكَ. It's a reminder for you and your people. وَسَوْفَ تُسْأَلُونَ. And you will be questioned. You will be questioned. Okay? Now, not only that, if you go back to Surah 12, Surah Yusuf, Ayah 108, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in this ayah, قُلْ هَذِهِ سَبِيلِي. Qul in the Quran is a command from Allah to the Prophet, say to them, O Muhammad, هَذِهِ سَبِيلِي. This is my way. What's your way, Prophet of Allah? أَدْعُو إِلَى اللَّهِ. I make da'wah to people to come to Allah. That's the Prophet so far, right? Alhamdulillah, it has nothing to do with me. Wait, I didn't finish the ayah. عَلَى بَصِيرَةٍ. Ala basira means based on insight, and you can never get that insight without learning, and that's what you're doing now. So when you give da'wah, you have to have knowledge that you will share with people, right? Okay, so far so good. Are you still involved? The answer is no. It's the Prophet ﷺ, Allah saying, قُلْ هَذِهِ سَبِيلِي. O Muhammad, say to them, this is my way. I invite people to the way of Allah based on knowledge. Here is the part. أَنَا وَمَنِ اتَّبَعَنِي. I and everyone who follows me. Now you are engaged. He said, I and everyone who follows me. Can anyone in this room raise his hand if he is a follower of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu? Do you follow Prophet Muhammad sallallahu? One hand? Astaghfirullah. I wish I had more than 10. I'm proud to be his follower, right? So now, are you commanded by virtue of this ayah that you need to make da'wah? Because he said, أَنَا وَمَنِ اتَّبَعَنِي. I and everyone who follows me. وَسُبْحَانَ اللَّهِ وَمَا أَنَا مِنَ الْمُشْرِكِينَ. And Allah is far from imperfection, and I do not associate partners besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But here's a big question, right? Brother Safar is going to say, I don't speak Arabic like you. Okay? And Sami is going to say, I'm not that eloquent when it comes to public speech. How can I make that? Alhamdulillah, so I'm not supposed to do it. I said, no, you're not out of the hook. Why? Because da'wah is 2 types. Listen carefully. Da'wah is 2 types. Da'wah by speaking, da'wah by acting. And they say in English, actions speak louder than words. So let me put it in the language of the youth today. So there is da'wah by talking and da'wah by walking. And today, Islam doesn't need too many public speakers. Islam needs da'wah by walking. Act as a Muslim. Wallahi, if you smile in the morning when you open your door to see your neighbor who's not a Muslim, that's da'wah. They're going to say, man, I was asked this question one day. I was giving a presentation at the Wake Forest University in North Carolina. I was teaching Islam there. And then I was giving a presentation to the professors in the religion department. Somebody teaching Judaism, Christianity, Buddhism. And after I finished my presentation, one of the professors said, Dr. Bedeir, can I ask you a question? I said, go ahead, but why are you angry? He said, I'm not angry. I said, okay. I can tell. He said, it's even like off topic. I said, go ahead, ask any question. He said, why are you always smiling? And guess what? I didn't tell him the Prophet ﷺ was always seen smiling and that. No. You have to be, rational. Yes, we have a hadith in Sahih Muslim, narrated by Ubaydullah ibn al-Harith. He said, "Ma ra'aytu Rasulullah sallallahu illa mutabassima." I have never seen the Prophet ﷺ except smiling. That's the default. You and I today, in the morning, Assalamu alaikum, bro. It's like, wa alaikum assalam. Like, man, what's going on? It's like, no. You want me to smile while these things are happening in Syria and Lebanon and Libya? It's like, bro, does your frown will change the situation there? Come on. Yeah, we make dua for them, we help them in any way we can, but do you think by frowning, inshallah, the problem will be solved? No. So I said to him, guess what was my answer? I looked at him and I said, the best way sometimes to answer a question is by sending a question back. Especially if you are married. Shall I give you a tip if you are married? You come back home at 2 o'clock in the morning and you try to come very quietly. And you put the key and you try to turn the doorknob very quietly. Right? So that your wife cannot hear you. Guess what? She's not sleeping. Yes, she's under the blanket, but her eyes are wide open, but she wouldn't show you. And then she lets you do whatever you like. And then you walk and say, Alhamdulillah, she's asleep. And then you change your clothes very quietly. And you try to hear the bed, and all of a sudden an earthquake happens. What time is it now? It's like, I don't have a watch. Like, I have one. It's 2 a.m. Where have you been? You're in trouble now, right? Here's the tip. Answer the question with a question. You smell that spicy biryani in the kitchen? Just go ahead and say, did you cook that biryani? This is gonna cease fire right away. No war. She's gonna say, yes. Let's eat some together, inshallah. It just smells good. What about the taste? Like, it's the first time ever you praised her, like, you talked nicely about her food. So it's gonna say, oh my God, like something happened to him. I wish he comes 3 o'clock in the morning, but at least he likes my food. Anyway, so I talked back to him and I said, why am I always frowning? And then I used the same tone and I said, can I ask you a question? But I'm going to be answering a question. He said, yes. I said, why are you always frowning? And he started thinking. I said, which should be the default? Should it be frowning all the time or smiling all the time? Which is better? And subhanAllah, sometimes people even don't think about that. I said, I'll give you a tip. The reason I'm smiling because I imitate the man that I love so much. I mentioned him in my talk. He's my prophet. He's my role model. He was always smiling. And you know what? Shall I give you the benefits of smiling? When you smile a lot, that's what they prove, medically speaking. They say, when you smile, lots of muscles move in your face. So you will be 72 like me, but you look like 27 as I look now. Am I right, doctor? I'm serious, wallahi. When you smile, so many muscles in your face move. But when you frown most of the time, very few muscles move. You'll have wrinkles while you're 27, you look like 72. I'm serious, wallahi. Do you see some people who are young, but subhanAllah, they start having those wrinkles? I remember one time I was teaching a class in London, UK. And I love to have that sense of humor because it cuts down the monotony. Because if you're sitting there and serious all the time, especially you have kids, like why would they be entertained? 2 things would entertain them: sense of humor and this. Right? This is why in my class you'll have people from 8 years old, even 6 years old, all the way to 106, like my age. And everybody's enjoying. So in that class I tried, subhanAllah, to use that sense of humor, and that uncle was sitting in front of me and he was all the time like this. I'm like, subhanAllah. really all people say that I have a good sense of humor, and I'm trying my best, and everybody is laughing out loud, and this guy is and then in the break, I went to him and I said, Assalamu alaikum. He's like, alaikum assalam. I said, are you mad at me? He's like, I said, why? And normally when I teach, especially when I travel internationally, I'm wearing a suit and a tie. And he said, would your tie take you to Jannah? And you know what? I used my sense of humor. I said, maybe it will work this time. I said, would it take me to hellfire? I told you the strategy. Answer the question with a question, just to get him to think. And he's like, huh? I said, think, would it take me to hellfire? He's like, I'm not sure, but I think what's your fatwa about the time? Now I played the role of a student of knowledge, and he's the scholar now. He's like, I think it's haram. I said, don't think, brother. You either believe or you sink. If you sink, you need 911. Right? But if you believe, you have to tell me, what's your evidence? If you're going to tell me that this is haram, you have to give me an evidence. Right? And subhanAllah, the entire 50 minutes, the second session that I was teaching Juz Tabarak, Tafsir Juz Tabarak. I totally left the tafsir and I talked about culture and religion. Tried to explain the difference, because sometimes today we respect the culture more than we respect the religion. I'm used to this. My parents have been doing this for 200 years. You gotta come and change it now? That's exactly how Abu Jahl used to talk, with all due respect. Right? When the Prophet ﷺ came to change their ways that were wrong, they said, Inna wajadna aba'ana ala ummah. We have been doing this for years. We're coming now to say, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala responded to that. He said, قُلْ أَوَلَوْ كَانَ آبَاؤُكُمْ لَا يَعْقِلُونَ شَيْئًا. What if your parents did not use their minds? Would you just follow them and be foolish like them? You see what I'm saying? So during the entire class, I tried to talk about this in a very subtle way, in order not to embarrass, my uncle. And the first thing I did in the next session, I stood in front of him and I made tawbah. I took off my tie and just put it on the table, just to get him involved. And then the first joke I shared after that, he was like, he was struggling to smile. He's not used to it. I'm like, subhanallah, what's wrong? Ya akhi, wallahi, the Prophet ﷺ said, tabassumuka fi wajhi akhika sadaqa. When you receive your brother with a smile, it's an act of charity. It's written as a good deed. You see what I'm saying? So we need to change that. So what I did in that class, sorry for the tangent, but it's very important because we're learning too. This is how I started, just to talk about the culture. I said, who in the class here can tell me the favorite dish of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? And most of the audience were Indo-Pak. Like I had about 390 students that day. Most of them, I would say 90% are Indo-Pak. And then I waited for somebody to give me the answer and nobody talked. I said, don't tell me biryani. Because the Prophet ﷺ never ate rice. There was no rice. He didn't have that luxury. And everybody was like, I said, astaghfirullah. You don't follow the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ in anything? You see what I'm getting at? You don't even know his favorite dish, let alone you're not following his sunnah and eating? Shame on you. And then I moved next. I said, brothers, how are your houses built today? Astaghfirullah, bricks, wood? Go back to the sunnah. The Prophet's house was made of mud. Go and destroy your house. Imagine when you live in London, when it's raining all the time. How many times would you build your house every day? You see what I'm trying to say again? This is culture. Wallahi, if the Prophet ﷺ was sent to Canada, he would be dressed like us here in Canada. Right? Do you think that the Saudi thawb is the same way the Prophet ﷺ used to be dressed? So, again, brothers, there is nothing called uniform in Islam. All what you need to do, wallahi, when we say hijab, it's hijab for men and women. And some people are like, no, astaghfirullah, Shaykh. Did you eat lots of biryani tonight? What's wrong with you tonight? Like, we're talking about so many things. Hijab for men? Wallahi. Hijab is for men and women. What do you mean? Everything that we ask the women to do, we ask the men to do, except for how much should be covered. But everything else is the same. What do you mean? It's just the awrah. The awrah of the woman is all her body except the face and the hands. And another opinion, even including the face and the hands. But whichever one you follow, respect the other one. You see what I'm saying? And when I say this, I say the face, not the face. Okay? And the hands, not the hands. So these are the hands. Because sometimes some people wear abaya and just goes down like this and most of the arm is exposed, right? So, other than this, what's the aura of man? It's from the belly button to the knees. But have you ever seen somebody wearing something from here to here? Like, this is the fashion, man. No, it's just being appropriate. Right? But the question is, if we ask women not to wear tight clothes, same thing applies to men. If we ask women not to wear transparent clothes, same thing applies to men. If we ask women not to wear the clothes of the opposite gender, same thing applies to men. Imagine if I come down for Fajr wearing a skirt. It's going to be in the news tomorrow. So Imam is like, man, he's acting weird. But you know what? If I am back home in some subcontinent places where they can put that thing that looks like a skirt, it's going to be very common. The whole lecture talking about brothers, we should differentiate between what's religious and what's cultural. Religion comes first. And then alhamdulillah, at the end of that class, the uncle came and he put the tie on again back. And alhamdulillah, he was smiling for the rest of the class. He was trying to smile, but alhamdulillah, at least he started smiling. Now we know why Shaitan is our enemy, right? First of all, because he had an ego, he refused to make sujood, and that's the reason Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala kicked him out of Jannah. So he took an oath upon himself that he will try his best to misguide as many of us as possible. And you can see lots of people, including some Muslims, who are not practicing their deen. Why? Because they are under the control of Shaitan. They listen to his whispers. Right? Okay. Now, does every one of us have a Shaitan with him?
Yes.
The answer is yes. Does every one of us has an angel with him?
Yes.
Yeah, so you have two qareen, an angel and a Shaitan. Sometimes you have those, good whispers, like I should read Quran, I should go to the Halaqa, I should do this, right? That's your angel trying to tell you to do something good. And the young ones, they say, I should listen to my parents, I shouldn't talk back. I think I shouldn't talk back. But then Shaitan comes to them, the Shaitan are going to say, but you know what? They don't listen to you. So you have to talk back so they can listen to you. Yes. Don't be a puppet. You're growing now. Look at your voice, it changed. Show them that you're a man. Right? Why do I have to do my homework right now? I didn't finish my games. Right? Whenever you hear that voice inside you, do something good, that's your angel. Guess what? One day the Prophet ﷺ was late. And it was the night of Aisha radiallahu anha. So she was like waiting behind the door, like, why is he late? Is he coming or not? Is he going to one of the other wives? And then while she's thinking, the Prophet ﷺ, knocked and opened the door. And he said to her, بما يحدثك شيطانك يا عائشة? What's your shaitan whispering to you, Aisha? She said, أو معي شيطان يا رسول الله? Like, do I have a shaitan with me? He said, yes. ما من ابن آدم يولد إلا ومعه شيطان. Every newborn, once that newborn is born, he's a sign of shaitan. She said, حتى أنت يا رسول الله? Even you, messenger of Allah? He said, حتى أنا. ولكن الله هداه لي فأسلم. But Allah guided him, so he accepted Islam. He doesn't command me to do anything bad. So can you guide your shaitan? Yeah, by doing good all the time. What's my weapon? Stay in wudu all the time. If you are in wudu, shaitan will not touch you, will not whisper to you. This is why I always tell people, when your husband gets mad and he tries to start the war, just tell him, who's going to follow the sunnah first? The Prophet ﷺ said, when you're angry, go and make wudu. You know what? I'm going to go and make wudu first. So if she runs away from you, let her go to the washroom. Let her spend half an hour. Even update her Fasad book page and maybe answering some emails. No problem. Because now we have a ceasefire. Because when things are tense and both of you are mad, you know what happens? Both shaitan on your side and her side, they're going to fight. And they're going to tell you what to say. You say, you never did this to me. She's not going to talk back to him. Say the same thing. But you never did this to me too. And then next question. If you're a man, divorce me. And then your shaitan is going to say, you're not a man? She's saying you're not a man. Show her your manliness. Oh, are you saying this? Yes, I'm saying it again. If you're a man, divorce me. And then he's going to say, you're divorced. He's going to say, you said it? And then they're going to call me. Sheikh, wallahi, my husband was angry. The wife is talking. Listen, the wife is the one talking. Okay? My husband was very angry and he told me you're divorced. But wallahi, he was angry. You know why she's saying this? Because she knows the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ said, لا طلاق في إغلاق. Anger is 3 degrees. How many degrees? 3 degrees. So the Prophet ﷺ said, first degree, the talaq could happen or not. Second degree, it happens. Third degree, it doesn't happen. What does that mean? This is why it's very critical. When you say this, you have to go to a scholar because you could be living with your wife in haram. And he has to ask you about all the details about the situation. Some people, when they get mad, they don't know what they're saying. You know some of these people? Maybe you have seen your dad or your uncle or something. When they get mad, they may carry a table and throw it, they can run to the kitchen, get a knife. They are out of control, right? Yeah. So if this is the case, no talaq. When the person is hallucinating, he doesn't know what he's saying, he's out of control, even if he said you're divorced, it doesn't happen. Because he was not in a state of sanity. That's what the Prophet said, La talaqa fi iglaq. Iglaq means this is not being used. But the 2 other degrees, they're questionable. Sometimes, when the sister says this to me, I say, okay, bring your husband and come. So they come and they sit down and you cross-examine. Okay, you tell me the story. You ask the husband first. And the husband is going to say, we were sitting in the living room and we were watching a game and I support the team in red and she supports the team in white. And the team in red scored here. She got mad. We started fighting. She's like, but Sheikh! I said, no interruption. Your turn is coming. You're going to tell me your version of the story. Don't try to influence him. Let him tell the story. You know why she's doing that? Then once he finishes the story, and she said this, and I said this, and then she said, if you're a man, I told her, yes, I'm a man, and I'm divorcing you. So you knew what you were saying, right? And you were aware of what it means. Is that clear? So you are divorcing her. And then she said, but he was mad. I said, I know, sister. He's not going to come home one day, give you a flower with a smile and say, honey, I love you so much, you're divorced. Have you ever seen a scenario like this? Nobody will do that. But she's trying to influence your judgment by saying, but he was mad. Who made him mad? Shaitan. I know that Shaitan. Right? Shaitan urged you to speak and say to him, if you are a man, and you know this is his point of weakness, he's going to show you his manliness. If this is my hand, I'm going to give it to you. And you pushed it more than one time. Stop it. No. If you're a man, now. Divorce me now. And then once he does it, like, no, he was angry, Shaykh. I know. You see, what Shaitan can ruin a house. And Shaitan is made of what?
Fire.
Fire. What puts out fire?
Water.
This is why the Prophet ﷺ said, when you're angry, go and make wudu. You see what I'm saying? If you're angry, you're standing, sit down. If you're sitting down, lie on your back, lie on your side. Sometimes another technique, just try to ask an excuse to go to the washroom. Nobody can stop you and say, oh, I have to go to the washroom. And then sit there for 20 minutes. Take your cell phone with you. You know? And then once you come out, if you look at her, she still have a red face and she's like waiting with her arms on. Say, where are my keys? SubhanAllah. Just 1 second. And you sneak around, take your keys, and leave the house. Drive around, go to Sheikh Tim Horton, you know, call one of your friends, you know, go do some grocery, right? And then 1 hour, 2 hours, she's gonna call you. Assalamu alaikum, where are you? You see the voice is different now, right? She's gonna say, I'm still kicking, I'm still alive. So when are you coming back home? Home? Is there like a ceasefire or are we gonna still resume? No, everything's okay. Okay, I'm coming. Then you don't give Shaitan, you know, a reason to ruin the house. You see how Shaitan can ruin a house? Just, it's a second of anger. You see what I'm saying? So remember this. Now, I told you before the secret of Bismillah, right? The Prophet ﷺ used to say Bismillah in everything. And Bismillah is a warning for Shaitan. When you enter the house, you say Bismillah. Right? When you put on your clothes, you say Bismillah. When you enter the masjid, you say Bismillah. Everything in your life. What does Bismillah mean? It means without Allah, you can do nothing. And we're going to talk extensively, inshallah, when we talk about Bismillah in Al-Fatiha. But what I'm saying is, Shaitan, like one time, I was sitting with a sheikh, he was dealing with a case that was possessed by jinn. And he asked the lady, he said, after he started dealing with the case, so the jinn talks using the voice of the woman. He said, what's your name? And the jinn said, Saleh. He said, are you Muslim? He said, yes. He's like, why did you do this? She said, because she harmed me first. How? He said, she poured hot water in the sink while it was dark in the kitchen. How could she know? He said, she could have warned me. How? Just by saying Bismillah. Once we hear the name of Allah, we leave. You see what I'm saying? So especially between Maghrib till daybreak, always when you are in a dark place, say Bismillah. When you come back to your house, you say Bismillah. If you say Bismillah, Shaitan in the house would say, we have no hotel for the night. He's going to leave. But if you forget to say Bismillah, Shaitan will say, we have a hotel for the night. Then you start eating dinner. You say Bismillah, no dinner for Shaitan. You forget Bismillah, Shaitan is going to say, we have bed and breakfast. So he's going to stay for the night and he's going to take the barakah of the food. This is why, subhanAllah, when you remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala all the time, you wouldn't have so much fights in the house. A house where Surah Al-Baqarah is being recited, Shaitan can never be there. That's also another way to deal with Shaitan. What do you mean, do I have to recite Surah Al-Baqarah every day? Wallahi, if you can, that would be good. but it will take you 2 to 3 hours. What can I do? Just play it on. We have so many means of technology today. If I were you, I would leave it on in the house 24/7. We have so many like laptops and iPads and iPhones and right? Just turn it on and leave it. Shaitan will never be there. The Prophet said, a house where Surah Al-Baqarah is being recited, Shaitan can never be there. Is that clear? So now we know the animosity of Shaitan. Last time I left you with 2 cliffhangers. Do you remember them?